Most advice for people over 60 focuses on retirement. It's always the same old advice. You've got to cut back, spend less, stop buying things, make your money last right into your 80s or even your 90s if you're lucky. Yeah, right, when you won't have the energy or the motivation to spend it. Look, I know there's some truth in this advice, but I'm going to give you the opposite advice today, because the best money that I've ever spent has been on upgrades that make my life better after 60. So in this video, I'm going to share them with you. 10 things to upgrade immediately once you reach 60. Let's get into number 1. Sleep. I don't think there's a better return on investment than buying anything that can improve the quality of your sleep. And yet, it's one of the things that most people neglect. There was a time not so long ago when if you'd have offered me the choice between a much better car or a better mattress, I wouldn't have hesitated. I'd have taken the car every time. And today, well, I'd do the exact opposite, because I now understand you don't just buy a mattress. What you buy is better sleep. And better sleep gives you stronger recovery, a lot more energy, improved moods, better resilience. I've upgraded my mattress and my pillows and all my bedding and added a mattress topper. And I've also added blackout curtains and a fan for those hot summer days like we've been experiencing recently. Now, none of these purchases are exciting. Nobody is going to visit your house and say, wow, that's an amazing mattress you've got there. But that mattress quietly improves hundreds of nights every year. You spend roughly a third of your life in bed. So why do you think nothing of spending thousands of pounds on a car, but hesitate to invest in the place that you spend 1/3 of your life? I used to think sleep was just something that happened at the end of the day. Now I think it's the thing that determines the quality of your days. I wear this Oura ring to monitor my sleep, and I've noticed my sleep score is optimal since I made these simple purchases. And the result is a lot more energy to do the things that I want to do. Number 2, home. What you need from your home changes as you age. When you're working, it's just a place to sleep and eat, and then you leave for work. And most of your day is spent somewhere else in a physical office. But after 60, your home becomes a much bigger part of your life. You spend a heck of a lot more time there. You drink your morning coffee there. You putter and read in the morning. Relax, cook and think. Those ordinary Tuesdays that I've spoken about in my other videos, you spend them there. And that changes what's worth spending your money on. 20 years ago, I would have been more interested in how many cars I could get on the drive. Today, I'm much more interested in how close I am to the food shops, to the railway station, to the doctor. And in the home, I'm much more interested in hanging out in my office studio. But before we go any further, you may notice I'm not filming this video in my studio. I awoke to a disaster this morning. My glass desk was in bits. It had exploded in the heat wave we're having here in the UK. Good job I wasn't sat at it at the time. Thank goodness for small mercies. Anyway, back to the point I was making. I am more interested in the chair I sit in to make these videos. I'm more interested in the lighting, the kitchen, the coffee machine, the garden, my barbecue outside, the pizza oven. These are the little things that quietly improve every single one of my days. And here's one thing I've noticed. It's small irritations that can become big irritations when you experience them every day. A room that gets poor sunlight, a shower with low water pressure. When you fix those things, you don't just improve your house. You improve all aspects of your life. I used to think a home was a status symbol, something other people looked at, a badge of success. Now, I think it's the place where I live my life. And just to clarify, you don't need to go to a bigger house to upgrade. We downsized at 60 and it resulted in significant upgrades to our lives. Everything is just so much more convenient. We spend a lot less time driving everywhere and a lot more time walking to our favourite places, which brings me on to number 3. Health. This is one area where I don't regret spending money. I've regretted buying plenty of stuff in my time. The cars, the latest gadget, clothes, more about that later. Those were things I didn't really need. But I've never looked back and thought, oh, I wish I hadn't spent that money looking after myself. At 65, I do spend money on things like good eye care and dental care. I visit the dentist twice a year. These gnashers may not be the perfect gleaming smile, but they're all mine and they are healthy. I also spend on a gym membership, this Oura ring that we talked about earlier, a daily creatine supplementation, good quality walking shoes. I see all of these things as investments in myself, because after 60, your health isn't just about living longer, it's about living better. And for me, it's about being able to walk unaided, being able to carry heavy bags of shopping 1 mile to home from the supermarket, being able to bend over and cut my toenails and tie my shoelaces. These may seem like small, nonsensical things, but my 96-year-old Uncle Archie can't do these things. So enjoy your independence whilst you can. The older I get, the more I believe good health isn't something you notice when you have it, it's something you miss when you don't. So if you are going to spend money, spend it on giving your future self the best chance possible. Number 4, skills. One thing that's really surprised me about a lot of people over 60, it's how close-minded they are. They reach 60 and they think they have got nothing to learn. I've got the opposite mindset to that. The older I get, the more I enjoy being a beginner again. It means keeping an open mind, a growth mindset. At 65, society expects you to slow down. Bollocks to that. I'm running out of time. I want to learn and experience as much as I possibly can before I snuff it. I'm learning AI tools that improve my life. They help me analyse the data on this Oura ring so that I can optimise each day based on my energy levels. They help me plan my travel and my holidays. They help me choose topics to make these videos about. They help me polish my scripts from the ideas and rough notes and drafts that I create. And I absolutely love learning how to use them efficiently. Not because I have to, but because I'm curious. It makes me think differently. It challenges me and it reminds me that there's still so much that I don't know. Every single new skill that you acquire changes the way you see the world. And when you stop learning, I think a small part of you just dies. So if you're going to invest in something, invest in your mind. It pays dividends every single day. Number 5. Hobbies. When you retire, you don't just lose a paycheck and an important group of social connections, you lose a huge part of your identity. For years, if someone asked me, "What do you do?" I always had an answer, and then one day, I didn't. That's why I think hobbies are so important after 60. Not because they fill your time, but because they give your life a sense of direction. When I was running my business, I never imagined that one day I would be baking sourdough bread 3 times a week, or spending a midweek afternoon walking the Yorkshire coast with my wife, or making these YouTube videos, or learning about ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude. I thought Claude was a character from the Dandy comic. Claude Hopper? Remember him from the 1970s? Maybe not. If you told 40-year-old Nick that those things would bring me so much satisfaction, I would not have believed you. But here's what I've learned. Hobbies are part of building a life you look forward to. They give you something to think about, ways to improve and learn and to share. They keep you curious. And I've come to believe that curiosity is one of the best anti-aging tools there is. It's not about the bread, although it is bloody delicious, mind you. It's about having something that makes you wake up looking forward to the day. Number 6, clothes. This one isn't about style or fashion or being a peacock. It's about buying intentionally. During my work career years, the hustle, as I refer to them these days, I had an extensive wardrobe of suits, shirts, ties and shoes. I've far more than I needed. Who needs 10 suits? If I'm honest, I only wore the same 3 or 4 favourites throughout the week. The rest just filled up the wardrobe, taking space. Today, I'd rather own fewer things that I really enjoy wearing. For example, a pair of good walking shoes, a proper waterproof top, a pair of comfortable trainers, beaters as my son calls them, a couple of pairs of comfortable jeans, and I value quality over quantity. However, there is one exception: my rock t-shirts. I'm always on the lookout for ones from my favourite bands. I bagged this one the other day on eBay. The Eagles, Hotel California, one of my all-time favourite albums and tracks. Do you like it? In my 30s and 40s, I bought clothes other people might notice. Today, I buy clothes I enjoy and that make my own life more comfortable. I don't dress to impress strangers. I dress for a winter walk, a day trip to London, a spring afternoon at Staithes up on the North Yorkshire coast when it can get cold and windy. And that's a very different way of thinking about clothes. I enjoy my clothes more now than I ever did. Number 7, food. You eat over 1,000 meals every year. So why wouldn't you make them better? 30 years ago, I ate far too much crap. McDonald's Big Breakfast was a favourite and KFC chicken dippers. It's no wonder I ended up with a gallbladder problem. I'd happily spend hundreds, if not thousands of pounds every year on that garbage without thinking twice about it. Today, I'd rather spend that money on good food ingredients to cook at home, and especially fresh local ingredients. An organic grass-fed steak, organic veggies from the farmer's market, quality Yorkshire cold-pressed rapeseed oil, and stone ground flour from the local windmill to make proper sourdough. Since taking an interest in the provenance of my food, I've rediscovered cooking for pleasure. It's no longer a chore or just to feed me. It's part of the day. I look forward to it. I love making that sourdough bread, experimenting with different flour blends and inclusions. I enjoy visiting farmers markets, finding great local producers here in Yorkshire. None of that looked important to 40-year-old me, but it looks very important now because good food doesn't just fuel your body, it improves every aspect of your day, and that's become my litmus test. If I'm going to spend money, I want to be sure it makes an ordinary day feel better, and good food always does. Number 8, mindset. One of the best upgrades that I've ever made does not sit in my garage or in my wardrobes, it sits on my bookshelves. I'm talking about books. Books have changed the way I think. And when you change the way you think, you change the way you live. I can still remember reading Die With Zero by Bill Perkins. It challenged the way I thought about money and about time, about experiences. And another book, one of my absolute favourites, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. That one has made me question how I was spending every aspect of my life. Not just my money, my whole life. A few books have probably changed the direction of my life more than any possession that I've ever bought. And the amazing thing is, they cost less than a meal out. There was a time when I might have bought another gadget instead. Today, I would much rather buy a good book because the gadget quickly becomes outdated. But a good idea in a book, it never does. Every time you revisit a book, it has always got something new to teach you. That's why I no longer think of books even as an expense. I think of them as conversations with people who have spent a lifetime thinking about the things that I'm still trying to understand. Number 9, mentors. This one might sound like an odd one to include in this video, but bear with me and I'll explain why. Some of the people who have had the biggest impact on my life have absolutely no idea who I am. I've never met them in my life. They don't even know my name. They've never visited my house and taken a look at my mattress. They've never shaken my hand, but they've changed the way I think. They've done that through the books that they've written, through the YouTube channels that they lovingly share their videos on, through the podcasts that they record and the interviews that they give. I think one of the greatest gifts of modern life is that you can learn from a complete stranger who is many years ahead of you and has trodden the same path as you, and you can do that without ever leaving your home. Every time I read a good book or watch a thoughtful video, I'm borrowing somebody else's lifetime of experience to help me craft my life, and I think that is an incredible bargain. I thought mentors were people that you hired, and yes, you can do that, and I have, often. I wouldn't have achieved half the things I did without the people I'd hired, but today, thanks to YouTube, There are wise people you can watch and listen to for free. And I'm still watching, listening and learning from them every single day. Number 10, experiences. This might be the biggest change of all. I once collected possessions. Now I collect memories. If you gave me a choice today between the latest new gadget or an afternoon with my wife walking along the Yorkshire coast, I would take that afternoon every single time. Not because it's cheaper, it is, but because it's richer. On that walk we'd chat about nothing in particular, we might watch the gannets diving, and we'd finish at a pub for a refreshing pint of beer, and then we'd drive home, and on the way back we'd stop for fish and chips. Now that's what I call a really good day. I can't tell you what television set I owned 20 years ago. I honestly can't remember. But I can remember walks on the beach in Portugal 20 years ago. I can remember the holidays with my wife and my son when he was a little boy. I can remember the conversations. I can remember the sunsets. The things you chase and covet, stuff, thinking you'll be happy when you get them. They are often the first things you forget. It's the memories that you treasure most. That's why I now spend much less of my life collecting physical crap and much more of it collecting moments. If you'd asked me at 40 what I wanted, I'd have said a bigger business, more money, more staff, awards, recognition, and all the badges that go with that. A luxury car, a big house in acres of grounds, more stuff than I would have had time to play with. At 65, my answer is completely different. I want better sleep. I want good health. I want nutritious food. I want to read interesting books and go on awesome walks. I want to have mindful conversations and unforgettable experiences, because there's a huge difference between buying stuff to impress other people and purchases that improve your life. I don't want a bigger house, a better car, the latest iPhone. I want better days, and those are not the same thing. What about you? What have you upgraded? Share it in the comments, I'd like to know. And if this video resonated with you, watch this one next. It's why looking poor is important after 60. Thanks for watching. See you next time.